I'm here with the great Bobcat Goldthwait and the legendary Barry Crimmins. Thank you for taking the time. You know, I watched your film, Call Me Lucky, and I worked through questions over and over because I didn't know how quite to begin. And the only way I thought to begin, Barry, with you was to say, I'm sorry. Sorry that you had to go through such an ordeal.
Well, thanks. You know, I don't know why this would happen to any child, but if it had to happen to some child, and I guess I learned how to tell people about stuff they didn't want to hear. I kind of say this in the movie too, but you pointed me right at it again, and it's just, it makes it a little easier that I'm kind of good at doing something about it, and that's a big part of the healing. And I also, you know, helping other people shows you how much progress you've made. You get out of your own way, but there's all this stuff that's in it for you that you benefit from, and it becomes healing. Healing isn't making the whole world come to you and apologizing. And I appreciate your kind sympathy, but having everyone setting things up where I expect the whole world to come to me and express their sympathy or treat me with kid gloves or whatever, I'm setting myself up for a disappointment, and that's not a good path to healing at all. You know, it's a path for finding a reason to take permanent injury. So saying everything triggers me or this or that, you know what? Everybody's been through some stuff. I don't know what it is. I don't know what you've been through. I don't know. You know, I just assume everybody's taken a few lumps, some worse than others. But if you can help others who have been through similar things that you've been through, then there's some benefit from the work you've done on your own recovery, because you can pass it along to someone else, and also notice as I said, the ground you've gained. So for me, like one of the most healing things I did was the child pornography investigation. It wasn't training all my friends that think that I was on this super hair trigger that they had to worry about all the time. You know, I'm a pretty normal person. I just had this horrible things happen to me, but I'm still, that doesn't mean I don't get to be a regular guy, you know. So, and it doesn't mean that to talk about it and to be sensitive about it and whatever, it doesn't turn me into some, you know, touchy-feely mess. You know, I'm sensitive and kind to people who have had this and been through other things too. You know, I mean, my whole act for years was about other stuff that led me to this point. And when it came to the point where I'd been talking about victims of death squads and war and environmental calamity and, you know, nuclear poisoning, whatever it is, when it came time for me to show myself the same compassion, I learned to show the rest of the world. I either could be a hypocrite or I could cut myself a break. Fortunately, I chose not to be a hypocrite. I cut myself a break, and again, we just come back to, we named the movie The Right Thing. I'm very, for someone who had some tough things happen, I've been incredibly fortunate since then, and how much more fortunate could it be than to have a friend this good who would make something so beautiful about me, to tell my story, and he knows it does my heart a lot of good to know we're doing a lot of good for a lot of people with this. And so, you know, I'm incredibly fortunate.
You know, well, one of the things I really loved about the movie...
Except for when we get
drinks.
Ginger.
Don't drink it.
You know, one of the things that I loved about the film was how Barry impacted your life. You talked about how he approached you one day about your drinking and such.
Yeah.
You gave up on that.
Well, when I was a young man, I stopped drinking when I was 19, but at the time when I was going way over the line, a lot of people kind of ran away from me just because it wasn't really good for their own careers to be seen with a guy who was doing destructive stuff or whatever. People were just annoyed with me. There was just the way when you're living that kind of lifestyle, and And Barry was someone who, one of the few people that didn't run away from me, that actually just basically nudged me in a way to step back and take a look at my life. And you know, I've been sober ever since. But he was the.
And I haven't. I need him around fucking and drinking for everybody. I don't need the publicity. I don't need the cops coming over. I could blow it at some point.
So yeah, I mean, but you know, that's just.
No, it's amazing. He went and did it though, and he came back 34 years later.
Yeah, but yeah, okay, but
It's a miracle.
well, there's a lot of yeah, that's nice. But yeah, that's just it. Barry's always been there for me all my life, all my adult life, and he's you know, that's the kind of guy he is. He does that for everybody.
Bob, at the point where, Barry made his, open declaration about, what happened to him, how did that impact you personally? Because here's someone you admired, a fellow comedian, satirist, and now this major revelation is, told to everybody. How did that personally impact you? Because obviously it had a great impact because you made a movie about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, Barry, when he disclosed to me about his childhood rapes, I actually obviously felt horrible for him, but honestly I was relieved because I knew he had all this pain and anger in him for all these years, and so it sounds strange to say, but there was a sense of relief.
Well, he almost said like, all right, I knew there was something. That's basically what he did. He was like, I knew it, there was that kind of thing.
Eureka!
And we were such good friends. I knew what he was saying, so he didn't have, even at the very beginning of this, we communicate well enough that he could be, it didn't have to be that phony, filter, padded crap. It was like, see? Everybody says you're a nightmare. It's like, no, I mean, that's why, beer for me was just cool. Singing over, it
wasn't a crutch of any kind.
No, it was just, the whole thermostat would have blown up without it.
But what motivated me to make the movie was Barry took AOL to task for allowing child pornography to be exchanged openly in their chat rooms in the mid-90s, and he ended up on the Senate floor at a judiciary hearing, and the article that he had written for the Boston Phoenix was really well written. It was really funny, and it read like a Capra story to me, and that was the motivation. Like, I was like, I love this guy and I admire him and all this stuff, but I was like, a little bit on a selfish level, as someone who makes movies, I was like, oh, this is a really good story. So originally I thought I'd do it as a narrative, and it took about another 20 years to shoot it as a documentary.
And I think we did it, even though it would have been in some ways helpful to get the story out, I think I had a ways to go in my healing, and you become such a magnificent filmmaker that I'm glad that when you got to me, you're at the absolute top of your game. Rather than some shitty rookie who's asking. No, but the other thing was, and I almost never say no. If a friend asks me for something, I'll try to comply. But right after I spent almost the better part of a year in chat rooms with pedophiles, it's okay, now let's make a movie about it. And I was like, almost never, it was almost sort of like one of the first signs of learning how to take care of myself, was saying, I can't do that, I can't go back into, it's the only time I really acknowledged the beating I took, because it wasn't about me, it was about the kids in the pictures. It's nice everybody was concerned about me, and still says, oh, he went through a lot, and I went through a lot. But what I went through was seeing what was really happening to those kids, and that's who I cared about, and that's who mattered to me. But it did hit me hard, and when I finally, did it was hilarious. I felt like the Simpsons, where Marge Simpson gets into it itchy and scratchy, and she just doesn't give up, and then the itchy and scratchy gets ruined, and they have to be like huggy kissy, and the cartoon's ruined or whatever. I wanted, you know, AOL was my itchy and scratchy. I wanted to, you know, ruin them because they were clearly profiteering on, you know, horrific things happening to kids. But I couldn't, at that point, I mean, I really just said, I had done all I could at that point. I wasn't, and you know, and I'm not one to say, I can't take this in, but I mean, I was waiting for James Brown guy with the cape to take me out of my office. You know, I was done, you know. The pop-up timer, ding, and I'm a vegetarian. So
Well, you know, the film was wonderful. Thank you, you know, for both of you for being so courageous. You know, Barry for, you know, telling your story, and you know, Bob for, you know, bringing it out so that people can know that there's healing, and that no matter what happens, you know, there's people out there for you. You know, thank you.
If you live, you got a chance. Thank you so much for helping us get the word out.
You bet. You bet. Thank you.